Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Yes, it is the weekend, not just any weekend, but it is Labor Day weekend. And I don't know what that means for so many of you. I know for myself, I don't think that I am going to be doing too much outside of the house. Maybe a little bit. We might do a little park, a little burger, a little salad, a little corn on the cob. I don't know. But anyway, just definitely making sure that I'm keeping myself safe as well as my family safe. For all of you who will be catching tonight's broadcast on the replay, if you're one of my replay viewers, thank you so much for hanging out and all of your support on the Angela Ray Show. I definitely appreciate it. For all of my live viewers, you know what to do if you are watching this broadcast live. Go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and slide in those comments. Yes, you and you and you. Slide in those comments and let me know what is your favorite Labor Day tradition. I realize that many of you may not be able to take advantage and or engage in that Labor Day tradition this particular Labor Day. Yeah, let me know what your favorite Labor Day tradition is. I know for me, I think the biggest thing that I enjoy the most Labor Day is probably a tie between going to the beach, which I will not be doing this weekend, and of course having those big family gatherings, cookouts. As a matter of fact, this is the weekend that one side of my family usually has a family reunion, and yeah, so it's always good to get together with family and friends when we have that extended time off. But yeah, I don't know how much of that I will be doing. So again, if you are watching tonight's broadcast live, go ahead and do me a favor. Slide into the comments. Let me know what your favorite Labor Day tradition is. I know, let's see, did someone just chime in on our comments right there? All right. So we're going to go ahead and get the party started with our Ray of Motivation moment. And for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I just want to share with you a quote from the great Les Brown. And that is: the genius of success is to see the good in every situation. The genius of success is to see the good in every situation. That quote I got from a tape. Yes, I did say a tape that my mom bought me many, many years ago of Les Brown. It was actually the first thing that I ever received, first time I ever heard of Les Brown. And she heard him speak, thought that it would be a great motivator for me as I went on to complete school and then eventually going on to college. And so it was something that I listened to from time to time, and enough that there were things that stood out for me. And I found myself about 11 years ago in a very awkward and painful situation. And all of a sudden, I could hear like two or three words from that quote. I couldn't remember the whole thing, but I knew it came from that tape. So I was like, running to my room trying to find that tape. And yes, I still had a cassette player. So, I popped it in and I listened to it. And I realized that, you know, everyone, I don't care who you are, how much money you have, how much fame you have, what type of job you have, we all go through challenges. We all have speed bumps. We all have disappointments. But as Les Brown so eloquently put it in this quote, the genius is to see the good in every single situation. And that is tonight's Ray of Motivation moment for this Friday edition, the Angela Ray Show. Well, I am really excited that we are concluding tonight. We're winding down this series on rehearsing for the leading role. Throughout this week, I've had an opportunity to speak with a number of actors in various stages of their respective careers, and it has definitely been my honor to talk to them, to have them to share their stories, to share different aspects of their journey along the way. And this series, this particular series, Rehearsing for the Leading Role, is tied to the re-release, relaunch, or making our way to Amazon of my book, Megastar Student Leadership: Lessons I Learned as an Actress That Can Help You Lead, Achieve, and Succeed. And so I wanted to talk to other actors, find out, number one, what they're doing, talk about their respective journeys, but also get their input as well on lessons that they have learned along the way in this thing we call show business, because I promise you, we all learned lessons along the way. And so tonight's guest is none other than Mr. Jay Jones. He is an award winning actor, he's an author and an activist. He is the founder of Keeping Inspiring Nations Generations in School Male Empowerment Mentoring Program and a founding member of the Black Gents, a male empowerment organization using the arts and entertainment as a change agent, as well as numerous other community based initiatives. As an actor, Jay has credits in film, television, and theater. He has most recently been seen on Greenleaf, Tales, Magnolia, and Lovecraft Country. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Jay Jones. Jay Jones, how are you?
Angela Ray, my dear sister, I'm fantastic. How are you this afternoon, this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing good. So, I know that you are getting back to work like so many people. We're playing it safe, and there are so many precautions that have been put in place to make sure that we are safe. But prior to going back to work, what
Mhm.
kept you busy during this downtime of the pandemic?
Oh man, like probably what's been keeping most people busy, and that's my family and my house. I've been blessed to we relocated from Los Angeles 4 years ago to Atlanta, and we have a beautiful community. I have the honor and privilege of being the HOA president in our beautiful community out by the airport in Southwest Atlanta, and it's been quite busy. People been walking the neighborhood out in their yards, so they've been noticing some things that may be in disrepair or may need to be attended to. So my phone has been quite busy during the pandemic.
Ah, I can imagine, Mr. HOA president. I have another friend who is HOA president, and we have had some very interesting conversations.
I'm sure.
Especially as people are looking have that downtime of doing home improvement, and maybe home
Absolutely.
improvement that has not been sanctioned by the HOA.
We've had a few of those as well. You better believe it.
It definitely happens. So, um, we talked about what you were doing, before you got back to work. But your
That's
career has spanned, and we're not telling anybody's age, but your career has definitely spanned a couple of decades. Getting your
yeah.
start in theater, you do a lot of hosting as well
Mhm.
as film and television. In your bio, I talked about your involvement with the Black Gents, and you all did some productions at the National Black Theater Festival. You were a founding member. Talk about that initiative working with the Black Gents.
Well, it all started in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is not known as a theater hub, but the gentlemen who I connected with were theater veterans from other parts of the country who, like myself, ended up in Los Angeles in search of film and television. But we weren't being as fulfilled in that search for film and television as we were in the theater. So, led by our illustrious writer director Leon Gray, uh, we ended up forming an organization to produce a lot of his particular shows, and it ended up being something that took on a life of its own. Really, the camaraderie of the Black Gents and the Black men. We've got uh, members in the group that have gone on to do wonderful things in gospel music, of course, in film and television. So we're still together. It started in 2007. Our mainstay show was Black Gents, oh, I'm sorry, the Black Angels over Tuskegee. And that's a show about the Tuskegee Airmen, and it was very well received, and it ran for over 7 years in New York, off Broadway. So, and it just closed in 2020. So
Oh,
the
wow.
Black Just legacy has been rolling for quite some time now. We're very proud of it. And we're now morphing the organization here in Atlanta because a lot of the key founders have now relocated to Atlanta. So now we're looking to do some initiatives here in Atlanta to help further our cause and help be of as great a service as we can.
And talk about your other show. I didn't know that the Tuskegee show was still touring that long. But you also had another show called We Be I Me
We
that I had an
did.
opportunity to see, a powerful stage production. Talk a little bit about We
Absolutely.
Be I Me.
We Be I Me was the very first show that we did as the Black Gents, and it was about a brother on death row, and we had seven black men play seven facets of this brother's life who was on death row, and we carry you through this man's life from basically adolescence all the way up until the final moment on death row. And you get to see vulnerable sides of black men that typically aren't displayed in theater, especially not on film and TV. So this was a real intimate look at the multifaceted dimension called the black man. You know, we so many times get stereotyped into just certain levels and certain, tropes, so to speak. But when we control our own narrative, then we can actually tell the rich story and the diverse story of what black men are comprised of in America in particular. So it was a phenomenal psychological journey, a tough show to do, a tough show to do. But the audience seemed to appreciate and respect it, so we're grateful for
It was a tough show to watch as well. I just remember
that.
sitting in the audience like, whoa, yeah. And again, that was some years ago. Now, you've also been very busy in film and television, as well, during this new part of your
Mhm.
career. You've been on Sweet Magnolias on Netflix, which has been a breakout hit. I'm so excited
Yes,
to hear that it is coming back for season two. So,
very
talk
excited.
about your involvement with Sweet Magnolias.
Sweet Magnolias was a true surprise, really. I'd auditioned for a coach on the show and didn't get the job. But as they began to cast even further, I guess I'm assuming and hoping that the audition for the coach was impressive enough that I stayed on their mind. So when the character Leon that I ended up playing, he's a veteran from the Desert Storm, and he runs a veteran support group. And he's the youngest of the veteran because most of the veterans are from the Korean War. We actually have a veteran from World War II in the group as well. So he was a very uh, the introduction of the character seemed quite simple when I read it initially, but then they had an idea that this support group would expand and become a little bit more intricate in the plots of the show. So we did 3 episodes, and the third episode kind of sort of left an open-ended opportunity for us to come back in the second season because one of the central characters, Dion Johnson plays, a good brother of mine, uh, comes into the support group at the end of one of the episodes, and it sort of leaves it at that. So we don't know where that goes. So hopefully, because of, like you mentioned, there's a second season scheduled, we'll hopefully be able to return and add some more value to that set. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Now, you were also recently on Greenleaf as well as Bluff City Law, which I heard was canceled. I'm hoping they may change their mind. It was definitely one of those shows that I don't know got a lot of publicity, but once
Right.
I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is really good
Wonderful
writing.
TV.
Yeah.
Wonderful TV. Jimmy Smits and I forget the dear young sister's name who played opposite him and played his daughter. That was
Hmm.
probably one of the most, probably the best, one of the funnest sets and warmest sets that I've been a part of, especially on that level. Being at
Hmm.
a network show, sometimes those sets aren't as welcoming and warm as some of the independent things that we do. But this set and those leading members of the cast were extremely gracious. The show was fantastic. I had a wonderful time. I worked with the young sister right here from Atlanta who played my daughter, who's uh, she's actually on another show on Netflix. Big popular show. I can't remember the name of it with a bunch of kids on it, but she was great. She's a wonderful young talent. Looking forward to seeing more of what her work will be in the future. So that was great. I hate to hear that show got canceled.
Yeah, you never know just because I would say that more productions may be leaning toward pulling old stuff back as opposed to trying new things, particularly
I think
because,
you're right.
where we are with the pandemic. So I always say never. So we'll
Yeah,
definitely see. Hopefully,
keep our
it may
fingers
make it.
crossed.
Yeah, I would love to see it back on the airways. Now,
Yes,
many of us we were slow this year. So many of us were slow this year. But in general, acting is one of those. industries and career paths where sometimes you're up and you're busy, 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 and sometimes you check to make sure you paid the phone bill because you haven't paid, you just haven't heard from
Absolutely.
your agent. So how do you stay motivated during the downtimes or the slow times?
Diversify. Everything has its place, and what
Hmm.
I try to do is keep balance. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm heavily involved in my community, both in the neighborhood and in the school system. So that sort of keeps me busy, just trying to be of as much service as I can. It keeps the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So I try to keep my mind focused on some things that can help move the needle forward on some of the issues that mean a lot to me.
Okay. Speaking of diversifying, you are also known as the fitness minister. Talk about
Yes.
your involvement in health and wellness.
Oh, well, that's a lifelong passion. I've played football for all my life for the most part, but I got hurt playing football in my senior year of high school. I broke my neck. So after the broken neck, I had some back surgeries to repair the broken neck, and I couldn't play football anymore. But I stayed physical. Being an actor, you still want to be in the best shape you can be. So, and I
Hmm.
transitioned from New York to L.A. Like I mentioned earlier, I really wasn't feeling LA as an actor as far as film and television because I had become so ingrained in the theater and the feeling of live work and work that really meant something. So I really started just working out and got a job at the YMCA in North Hollywood a little after once we moved to LA. And while I was there working as a trainer, people would ask me questions because I initially started just working out there. And then they asked me a few things about my training method. So I ended up getting a job as a trainer there. And then I started getting personal clients and things just began to snowball. And it really became a movement. So the fitness minister was born because I wanted to get a little deeper than just push-ups and jumping jacks, just physical work. I wanted to tie it to something greater than just an appearance thing. So I really realized that the greatest gift our Creator has given us all is a healthy temple. And to do anything less than take care of that temple would be blasphemous. So I figured that what we were doing was really spreading the good news of health and wellness because fitness is truly the fountain of youth. So the fitness minister was christened because that was the impetus of what we were doing. We was really spreading the good news and uh, creating more of a physical praise and worship experience than a workout,
Okay. All right,
So
then.
that's one of the things that we focus. Oh yeah, so you do anything less than take care of your temple, then it's like going into a church and defacing the building. It's a blasphemous experience. So that's something that we really wanted to focus on, and it has been successful. We've written a book called A Little Bit of Something Beats a Whole Lot of Nothing, and it's about 4 years old now. And the idea behind the book is it's a 30-day guide to a new healthy habit where we do a motivational quote, we do a fitness footnote, and that's we give you an exercise for 30 days, and then we attach a mental things that you have to do to accompany that physical piece. So
Hmm.
the book is on Amazon under the J. Jones under the title of the book, A Little Bit of Something Beats a Whole Lot of Nothing, a 30-day guide to your new healthy habit. So we're still spreading the good news, my dear sister.
All right. Now you talking about spreading the good news and you talking about praise and worship in the temple, but do you pass that collection plate whenever you like working out with the people? What are we doing? How we do that? How we do that? Do we get some health and wellness in the communion too? Do we put a little bit of that in there?
They get a they get a fitness footnote after every workout. See, that's what we cool down. My clients,
Okay.
99% of my clients right now are online, and we've been doing an online training for the past 5 years because when I left Los Angeles, clearly I left clients that I'd been cultivating and working with for 6, 7 years. So a lot of those clients didn't want to stop working out. So we created an online situation where we were utilizing whatever technology, it wasn't really Zoom. We're using Zoom now, but it was either FaceTime or, uh, I forgot the other one
Skype.
so fast. We were using
Skype.
Zoom, Skype. That's exactly what it
Hmm.
is. The FaceTime or Skype.
Okay.
So we've been doing it for some years now. So at the end of every workout, our clients do absolutely get a chance to what I like to refer to as bask in your fitness afterglow as we stretch. They're getting a little seed dropped into fertile soil because after the workout, your mind is open, your body is receiving in a very receptive way. So we after every workout, you're gonna get that fitness footnote. That's why we included them in the book.
Okay. Now, I was talking about this during my introduction right before I brought you on. This rehearsing for the leading role series, I've learned so much from talking to, having these conversations with fellow actors. I know for me, the journey has been one of a lot of lessons, and I adapted those lessons for high school and college students so that they can learn more about leadership. So, my question to you is, are there any leadership lessons that you've learned in this entertainment journey?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a wonderful, and congratulations on distilling that wisdom down to present it in a palatable way for these young people to absorb, because it's extremely important that we learn leadership qualities. And one of the first qualities as an actor that you learn is the quality of communication. You know, you have to be able to
Mm.
communicate and articulate in a way that people can understand, and not only understand, but you can persuade individuals to somewhat think the way you think, or to support the initiatives and ideas that you're offering. So one crucial component to leadership is communication. You have to learn not only how to speak, but you have to learn how to write appropriately. You know, I know we live in an age where abbreviation has become king, and a lot of times in environments that you're trying to be persuasive, those abbreviations undermine your ability to have credibility in a large extent. So you want to learn how to use your words both orally and written in a way that's very persuasive and clear, and able to communicate, because essentially communication is just sending a message so a receiver can then clearly get it and receive the message, and then you can begin the back and forth. But a lot of times in this new generation, I've noticed that communication has to be more focused on. That's one of the first lessons you learn as an actor. And then another lesson you learn as an actor is simply listening. You know, you have to
Mm.
listen and take direction. And a lot of times people understand that leaders are great communicators, and you know, they have commanding spirits most of the time. But the greatest amongst us are the ones who have an empathetic ear, because nobody really cares how much you know until they first know how much you care. So you have to be able to listen and demonstrate that the person that's speaking to you is valuable. You know what I'm saying? And you appreciate their insight, and you value their insight, and you care enough to be quiet and just listen to them. So you know, that's another huge trait that acting has taught, because of course on sets you're taking a lot of direction. You know,
Mhm.
and also the third and final thing, you know, we can go on for days, but we'll wrap it up with the three. The third and final will be just patience. You know, as a leader, we have to demonstrate patience. I know a lot of times leaders want things done right now. You know, we're very passionate about change, and we're passionate about justice and fairness, and we want things to happen immediately. And sometimes, you know, that rush to get things done so fast will cause us to miss out on certain things. It'll cause us not to see the bigger picture per se, and we'll make mistakes, and we have to go back and do it again. So in acting, you have to absolutely demonstrate patience, especially in film and TV. You know, it's a whole lot of hurry up and wait. You know, it's a
Mhm.
lot of, you know, taking things more than one time. You got to do it. You know, you think you just nailed it, and then they want another take of it or another angle of it. And, you know, so you got to be patient with that process, because if not, you get yourself upset, get flustered, get your mind out of the character that you put yourself into. So, you know, communication, listening, and patience, you know, are extremely valuable key components to leadership. And I think, you know, that theatrical arts and the acting field in general truly help you hone and become very well with those particular skills.
Oh yeah. I think two of those, I think communication and listening are two of the ones that I highlight. But patience is definitely important because if you don't have patience, it's this just isn't the path for you. It just isn't, especially film and television. It's just
No,
not for
ma'am.
you.
No, ma'am. No,
Not at
ma'am.
all. So one of our very loyal viewers here at the Angela Ray Show, Edwin, has a question for you. Can you see that on the screen?
Let's see, with everything you do, how do you get it all done? How do you give it 100% to everything? Absolutely wonderful question. And I tell you, in my book, actually, we addressed that in my book. It's called the diamond theory, is what I like to refer to it as. A diamond has multifacets. You know, and in order for a diamond to truly shine, you got to polish all the sides of it. So God has created us, I believe, in a multifaceted way as human beings. A lot of what I do all complements one another. So as a personal trainer, again, like I spoke on it earlier, as a trainer, I'm motivating, I'm directing, I'm taking care of my temple, which translates when I get the film role, because now I'm healthy. I have the physical stamina, I have the energy to do it. Like I said, fitness is the fountain of youth. We ain't getting no younger, but as long as we stay active, we still feel strong and healthy. So the personal training certainly complements the acting. And then the acting, like we just spoke of, complements all the leadership stuff. The King program that we started in the elementary school here in Fayette County, where I live in Georgia. The King's program is Keep Inspiring Next Generations. And it's a program that we identified in the schools because they were at-risk young men. And that simply came about because I'm a father. I have a daughter in that school, and I would go to the school and volunteer in different capacities. And while at the school, I'd have conversations with different administrators and teachers. And I saw a need there. So it was just an easy extension of what I was already doing because I was at school anyway. And I said, you know what, let's create a program in school during school hours where we could take some of these young men and isolate them in the classroom and expose them to black male role models in an Afrocentric curriculum. And let's see what happens. And it was so successful in our very first year last year that the school system and the superintendent are now even trying to figure out a way how we can implement it as a virtual program because of the pandemic. And the school board nominated me for a position in the state parental or parent advisory council, the governor's parent advisory council, which is a 36-member council from parents all over the state. So that's another responsibility, but it's a responsibility that sort of coincides with everything I've been doing anyway, so it doesn't take me too far off the path that I've been working on. So that's where we try to polish those different sides of the diamond and try not to get too far away from the main thing. And the main thing is just adding as much value as we can, be it through community efforts, through our acting and entertainment work, or through our family involvement. You know, trying to add as much value as we can.
You are busy. Wow. Uh, one of your most recent projects that is out is Lovecraft Country, which I have not had an
Yes,
opportunity to see yet, but boy, it is making conversations on social media. So many people are
it's doing
talking about
great.
it. Yeah, talk about your experience working with Lovecraft Country.
And I had a phenomenal experience, and it's actually quite bittersweet, my dear sister Angela, because I shot two phenomenal scenes with Journey Smollett. I played a realtist back in 1950, and the realtist is what black realtors were called because they weren't able to join the Realtor Association, so they couldn't call themselves realtors. So they created a
Hmm.
Realtist Association, and these scenes were fantastic. It was about history. They were powerful and dramatic, and it was on the third episode of Lovecraft Country, and which aired last Sunday. So I'm all excited. I got the family here with me. I got friends all over the internet who watching and tuning in. And we tune in, and the very opening scene of the show is the opening character saying she bought a house, which immediately created some doubt in my mind because that wasn't the way the script went. You know what I'm saying? The script didn't go that way. So
Right?
come to find out, they cut both of my scenes. The only thing I had, the only footage I have from Lovecraft is the very tail end of the second scene where I'm actually getting the money. Because my character sells her this house. The house becomes
Hmm.
haunted. So we have a scene where I'm going through the house and she wants to move into this northern neighborhood in Chicago. I'm telling her that, that's pioneering, and pioneering is very dangerous because she wanted a white family to purchase the house in her name, and then her black family would move in once the realtor sold the house. So she gets the house, and the house is haunted. And then she comes back, which is the second scene, and she confronts me for selling her this haunted house. And the final scene at the very tail end, the white woman who paid me to sell her the haunted house comes in and gives me the money, and I get my belongings and I leave my office. So that's the part that you actually get to see in the actual film is me getting my stuff out of my office and leaving.
Hmm.
So but that's the first time that has ever happened to me, that to have that extensive of a role cut down to just barely nothing. It was very, very heartbreaking because I really liked the show and I was wanting to be a part of that universe in and the way that we shot it. You know, it was a
Yeah,
2 day shoot too. We spent 2 days working on that thing. But it's just that's Hollywood. That's the nature of the
that
beast.
is
You know,
the
once you shoot it,
business.
you don't know what's gonna happen with it after it's done. So, but
Never
it's doing
know.
wonderful. It's doing
It
wonderful.
is.
Misha Green, yeah, Misha Green is a phenomenal talent. I'm so proud of her. She's the showrunner and the writer and the creator for the most part. You know, J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele are getting I think his name is Jordan. Yeah, they're getting a lot of pub for producing, but it's really Misha's vision, and she's
Okay.
taken some cult fiction and she's created something quite dynamic and beautiful, and it's a departure for what blacks typically do, and I think it's a vanguard move, and I'm praying that it's very successful, and it opens doors for more things like it in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right though.
Yeah,
That does happen because I was in an independent film that did the festival circuit, starting with Sundance. So we made it to
right.
Sundance, and I know I was in it because at Sundance because my name was in all the press. And then when that thing
Yes,
finally made it to the theater, yeah, I wasn't in it at all. So it was like,
girl,
how
you
we
hate that.
do
I was so
that?
mad. I was embarrassed. I was
Happened.
mad. I was embarrassed because I done pumped it up and everything because the scenes were so great. I couldn't wait to see them because, of course, you don't get a
Hmm.
chance to see the finished product. So I
Right.
was very anxious myself to see him, and it's never happened to me before. But hey, K Sarah Sarah, we move off to the next.
Definitely humbling. Edwin has another question for you.
Let's see, I can see it here. It says, in light of Chadwick's death, how did that event affect you, and what advice do you have for black men in their health? Excellent question. Chadwick Boseman, my wife and I actually got a chance to meet Chad. Chad was a friend of a friend, of a very good friend of ours. Used to date Chad, and Chad also wrote. He was a writer and director, and he wrote a movie that my wife April starred in, and he directed.
Heaven, right?
So
Was it Heaven or something? Was
it
that what
was
it was
Heaven,
called?
absolutely.
I saw
That's
that.
exactly what it was called.
Okay,
That's
I
exactly.
remember
April
that.
played the prostitute, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
don't tell
lead
him. Don't
character.
tell him. Yeah, don't tell him what,
Now
because that,
go tell him.
I was shocked at the end. I was like, oh, you have got to be
Oh
kidding me.
yes,
So,
and the
Javon,
brother Walter
Javon
who played in the
Johnson.
film. Absolutely,
Yeah.
Javon wrote it. Good friend of all of ours, and Walter Fauntleroy, another brother from a good friend, was in it as well. Played the male lead. So we went to the premiere, and we would go over to our friends, and Chad would be there on several occasions. So and we were super proud, clearly, of all of his accomplishments. But it was devastating, clearly, for everybody, his friends, the people who didn't know him. It was, and to Edward's question, we as black men, we have a very precarious relationship with healthcare. It's very important, but we've been let down a lot by American healthcare system. So we it has compromised our trust in the system. But one thing we can do is we know uh, common sense health habits. You know what I'm saying? Uh, the more natural the food, the better it is for you. The more processed the food is, the more harmful for you. We want to be proactive as opposed to reactive. And one thing you can do is move responsibly, get as much exercise and rest as you can, and just eat God food. It comes in its own wrapper. You know what I'm saying? Most of it's gonna come. You got to peel it, you got to crack it, you got to open it, you got to. If it grows from the earth, it's what God intended for you to eat. If it falls from heaven, it's what God intended you to drink. You know what I'm saying? So if we use common sense, health, and movement, then I believe we can continue to do as best we can and know what our family history is. Know what your family history is. So if there's some things in your family that leave you predisposed to certain illnesses and dis-ease, then be proactive and don't wait until things start falling apart in order to start seeking some health care. Because I do understand that we have a precarious relationship, but it's important that we be proactive. And thank you for that question, my dear brother Edwin. That's very good question. Thank you, my dear sister Jackson.
So as we get ready to wrap up, you have had an amazing career thus far, and in some ways, some people say, you're just getting started because you're keeping that temple tight. Um, what final thoughts would you like to share with us tonight?
We've got to really drill down into the respect and love for one another. I know it's a lot of things
Mm,
happening in the world today. I know we have a lot of unrest in a lot of areas, but I believe if we really take the opportunity and see what God is trying to do in this moment, I think it would help us come together. Even the passing of Chadwick, our superhero, we didn't have, as much as we want Wakanda to be a real place, we didn't have the heart-shaped herb to bring it back to life like they had in the movie. But we can make it so in real life that we come together and understand that humanity was designed to get along and not be torn apart. There are multiple different factions and people and parties that are trying to decide and divide the nation. But if we take the time right now and look at what's happening, before every sunshiny day, there's a dark cloud. This is the storm before the quiet. We've got to weather the storm. And on the other side of this, I believe that there's a new day for Black America in particular. And if Black America finds justice, then America will finally be a place of justice. And then we can truly ascend and make America great for the very first
you better say that, Jay Jones. All right, I have nothing else to say. Just drop the mic, pass the collection plate.
time.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us those pearls of wisdom. Jay's Instagram is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you would like to connect with him, he mentioned his book. A little bit of nothing is better. Wait a
A
minute.
little
A
bit
little
of
bit of
something
something is better than a whole lot of
beats a
nothing.
whole lot of nothing.
Okay,
That's right.
which is on
That's
Amazon. You can connect with him at the Fitness Minister, and he also does a virtual workout. So even though the
Mhm.
Rona is real, you can still get that temple tight.
That's right. That's right, my dear sister. I appreciate your answer. I'm so proud of you. We've been friends for a long time, girl, and you have been continually ascending every year, growing every year, all the way from Carolina, girl. You've been blazing a trail, and I'm very proud of you. So continue to keep up the good work, and
Well,
continue
thank
to
you.
share the good news, my dear sister.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Jay.
Thank you so much, and blessed to all your viewers. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right, that is it for rehearsing for the leading role and this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you today of motivation number 4. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great day.